Today's webinar is about powwows and cultural tourism. My name is Gail Chihak, and I'm a Klamath tribal citizen from Southern Oregon, and I serve as IANTA's Tribal Relations and Outreach Manager. I will be your moderator today and will manage the questions and answers at the end of the presentations. Please place your questions or comments in the Q&A box. For those of you that are not familiar with IANTA, for nearly 2 decades, IANTA has served as the national voice for American Indian nations engaged in cultural tourism, providing technical assistance and training to tribes and native businesses engaged in tourism, hospitality, and recreation. We are looking forward to this year's annual American Indian Tourism Conference, Reimagine, Reemerge, Reunite, Stronger Together in Indian Country. It will take place at the Weekapaw Casino Resort on the Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation in Arizona from October 25th through the 28th. Registration is now open on our website. Nominations for IANTA's Excellence in Tourism Industry Awards are open until August 31st. Help us recognize the attractions, events, and individuals who have fostered a greater understanding and appreciation for tribal culture, history, heritage, and arts through tourism. Before we begin, I would like to ask you a poll question. So if you would please answer the question, and we will share the results with you. It should be coming on screen soon. All right. Question number 1, have you attended a powwow? Well, it looks like 60% of you have attended, which is wonderful. 40% have not had that wonderful opportunity. So we hope this will encourage you to join your first powwow. Thank you for providing feedback. And thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Powwows and Cultural Tourism. Powwows are held across the country, drawing tribal and non-tribal visitors. This webinar will highlight 2 of the most famous tribal powwows, Crow Fair and the Shoshone-Bannock Indian Festival. I'm so pleased to introduce our speakers today. Randy L. Teton is a citizen of the Shoshone-Bannock tribes of the Fort Hall Reservation. She serves as a public affairs manager for the tribes. She's the point of contact for the media, public relations, and cultural tourism partnerships. She has a degree in museum sciences from the Institute of American Indian Arts and a Bachelor of Fine Arts in art history from the University of New Mexico. She interned with the National Museum of the American Indian, the Money Museum in Fort Collins, Colorado, and the Buffalo Bill Center of the West Museum in Cody, Wyoming. Randy L. will be joined by Wendy Farmer, another tribal citizen who has served as the Shoshone-Bannock Festival Coordinator since 2018. She's the tribe's tax revenue director and has worked with the tax department for 28 years. She has helped organize various festivals and events for the past 15 years. Randy, I'm turning it over to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Gail. Thank you, IANTA, for hosting this wonderful webinar. A very much needed webinar when it comes to enhancing your powwow, or whether you're trying to figure out how to make your powwow bigger and better to benefit your overall community. As Gail mentioned, I serve as the public affairs manager for the Shoshone-Bannock tribes located here in beautiful Fort Hall, Idaho. I am born and raised here in southeastern Idaho on the reservation. I danced. I think I took my first steps in the dance circle when I was about 2. And so Powwows has been a very integral part of my life, as well as a lot of my community. And so today we're going to start talking about our Shoshone-Bannock Indian Festival. So then that way we can share with you our ideas. I'm going to go to the next screen, and for some reason it's locked. Hold on. Here we go. So as you see here, we have a beautiful picture of our ladies, our lady dancers. They just came through grand entry. Here in Fort Hall, we are known for our beadwork and our brain tanned hides to make all these. And one of the biggest things is that we don't really think about when it comes to powwows is the economic benefits for the community and the benefits to the region, to the state that you reside in. We recently had a economic impact report that was compiled by the University of Idaho. And this is actually the front cover of this tribal economic impact report that I assisted on, that kind of shows all of the 5 tribes of Idaho and how we're all able to come together, pulling together all of our data that provides a better data for the state and for our local communities. One thing is that when we talk about powwows, it's not really added in as a big part of the economic impact. And I want everyone to rethink that, because it is a big part of being able to enhance and educate your tribe or the local tribe that you reside in. Cultural tourism plays a huge part of bringing in tourism, providing a historical facts that some may not know. Basically, being able to speak from a tribal perspective is so important, because a lot of times you'll find a lot of our history is written in books written by non-natives. And so this economic impact is written by us, by professionals that have our hand directly involved in the impacts that we are providing and the services that we're providing. So you'll see here the cultural tourism here is, we do have a tribal museum. Our annual festival that we hold, it was created back in the 1960s as somewhat of a smaller powwow, basically a cultural celebration after our successful summer youth program. And our recreation director thought that it would be a great idea to have a end of the summer celebration. And that one little powwow ended up turning into the big powwow that we have today. So I'd like to show a short video here. Singer, So getting back to
Randy, before we begin this section, can we ask a poll question?
Yes.
You characterize the attack on the
Sherry, if you bring up the poll.
Can you describe what you saw that led you to label the attack
crowd was overwhelmingly white males, usually a little bit older, middle-aged, older, but some younger.
Should be coming up any minute.
Everyone else was white males.
Okay. Did you share the poll?
There it is. Have you been to the Shoshone-Bannock Festival?
Anything, especially xenophobic to me, but to my black colleagues and anyone who's not white. And some of them would try to recruit me. One of them came up to me and said, "Are you my brother?"
Well, it looks like 89% of our participants have not been to your festival, so they're in for a treat to find out what they've missed and what they can enjoy in the future.
Awesome. I'd like to introduce Wendy Farmer to join this dialogue, as she has represented our festival for the past few years.
More likely to subscribe to that kind of belief system.
Good morning. Can you see me? Good morning. My name is Wendy Farmer, and I am the festival coordinator. I've been officially the coordinator since 2018. My role here today is to kind of share with you on how we maybe bring the festival together for this annual celebration. And it's a huge task. It's you know, we're fortunate here in Shoshone-Bannock Fort Hall that our tribe invests in our powwow, and so therefore a lot of the money that's given out in prize money is guaranteed money. And I think that's important, you know, for people that are participating in the various events. Our powwow is very large. We do various events. We have not only do we have the powwow dance, we also have rodeo, we have the hand game, we have Indian relay. We also do a cultural share of a buffalo and salmon feast that is done on site. We also involve our recreation program, and they help coordinate the softball tournaments, as well as the horseshoe golf and a skate jam. So we have so many events. We have so many different people that are coming to our powwow to participate in whatever interest they may have. We also have an art show, and we also do a very, Randy L can probably join in with this conversation of a royalty. We do our princesses as well as our Miss Shoshone-Bannock Queen contest that we hold her in a very high esteem on behalf of our tribe. She is our cultural representative that she will represent us throughout the year. Currently it is Ontaria Arrowine, and she is representing our tribe very well at this time. Really appreciate it. Our powwow also does 2 parades. We have a children's parade on Thursday, and we have an all Indian parade that is done on Saturday mornings. In order for us to really promote our powwow, we do have promotions. One of the promotions was shared with you earlier, and that was put together by one of the committee members of videos and footages that she was able to gather from various community members as well as people that are on the committee. You know, we just kind of combined all of our videos and pictures so that she was able to produce that little short clip of a video. We have other videos that we've shared on the Facebook page, and I think that was kind of important, because it kind of gives people an idea as to the various events that are here in Fort Hall. So promotions of the powwow is very important to us, not only on Facebook, we also do it on Instagram, as well as a web page that Randy L manages. We also have a marketing portion for the powwow. That is funding that is set aside for us to go out and kind of do the posters, get t-shirts, promotional items to support the powwow. We possibly buy ads at Gathering of the Nations. We try to do some ads on billboards locally here in Pocatello. We do a lot of various outreach to our local communities, because as it was said earlier, it was important for us to educate our local neighbors that we do exist here in Fort Hall, because even though they're, you know, our borders are 12 miles away, so there's several people don't even know we exist. So it's very important that we share who we are as Indian people with our neighbors. And I think we've done a really good job in that outreach and inviting them here to our community during these 4 days. As well as Indian country, we do our best to do a big promotional outreach. We have our last poster that we did was prepared by a tribal member. And, you know, we're fortunate that we have a lot of volunteers for our committees that coordinate all various events and help us put all of the powwow things together. And he put together a really extensive powwow poster and with all of the different activities that are on there. And I think that's part of promoting the powwow, is making sure we get necessary like flyers and stuff out there as soon as possible. But where things are turning virtually, you know, Facebook, Instagram, those are kind of like a new outreach for, I think, Indian country and sharing and trying to promote their powwows. We also, let me get back to some of the powwow activities. On Thursday, the council, well, the past, not the council, but the past committees, coordinators, they've kind of dedicated Thursday to our community and to our youth. And so on that day, we generally will start with an all-Indian, like a children's parade, and we really promote our youth on the reservation. We have a youth that leads that parade generally as our, that'll lead the parade. Can't even think, the Grand Marshal. Following the parade, we generally will have Indian games, and that kind of involves some of our traditional games. We have a lot of foot races for the children, and it's for all ages. And we just really try to promote some of our traditional games that we share here on the reservation with some of the visiting children that are here. And I think it's a really fun start to our powwow. And then after the powwow, our housing has always been really supportive, and they do a feast for the community and for anybody in attendance at that time. So I think with the powwow, we're really fortunate that we have so many programs that they all come together and they assist annually, like housing does for the feast there. And then later that evening, we have a community powwow, or a kind of more of a local powwow for our children, and we try to promote Shoshone-Bannock and try to have our locals come out and dance, because it's not quite that competition powwow day yet. Our powwow competition starts on Friday. Thursday, we are also we have our royalty contest that's running. So depending on whoever's coordinating our royalty events and running our Miss Shoshone-Bannock competition, Thursday could be they do our traditional dish is what they call it. So that's kind of interesting. And they generally do it there on the festival grounds. So whatever the girls are preparing, they prepare it specifically for judges that are there, as well as if they have additional food available, they will share it with those in attendance, which is really interesting. And it gives other people a chance to maybe taste choke cherry pudding, some salmon, some what we call yaha, you know, just depending upon whatever traditional dish the girls are wanting to share. It's kind of, it's a good cultural share there, I think, and of what the girls can bring forward. Friday, we start with our princesses. In that morning, we have a princess royalty contest. That afternoon, that Friday night is when we start the competitive powwow dancing. Along with our powwow, we have 78 arts and craft booths that come to our powwow. So we also have a arts and craft committee that people will submit their applications to. And because our area is limited, so we try our best to give everybody an opportunity to come in and participate and buy vendor spaces early. So it's really important for us to make sure that we have applications available like in January. And believe me, we do get calls early on, people wanting to pay. along with those 78 vendors, we have food vendors. We have 26 food vendors that come through, and we really try to promote in our tribal members. Tribal members are allowed to do around the main arbor area, but we do open it up to some other variety of food down the alleyway, we call it. What else do I want to say? We also do the we like to say, well, we are Shoshone-Bannock. We started with the Indian Relay. This is kind of like the home of it, we call it. And it's ran, we have a Indian Relay Committee that runs the annual, that accepts the, well, I'm starting to stumble here, Randy. You want to help me?
Yeah, go ahead, Sherry, can you go to the next slide? And so the benefits of actually the variety of events that Wendy is providing everybody is that we're not just a powwow. We are more than that. We're all walking distance. So the things that she's explaining to you all is we have food vendors. We have the arts and craft vendors all along the powwow grounds. And also you have walking distance to the rodeo, to the relays, to the softball tournament, hand game tournament. Everything is within walking distance. So you come in, you park, you enjoy yourself, you get your Indian taco, you go watch the dancers, maybe you take in some Indian relay races, you check out the teepees, everything's all right there, which is really nice. Next. And she's talking about our famous Indian relay races, which a lot of you, maybe some of you have not seen. It'd be really interesting to see, actually, Gail, if you can do a poll of who has seen an Indian relay race. But I wanted to show a quick video here of our relays. And a little bias on these pictures, but they're pretty provoking visually, because you see just how hard it is for our mugger who's holding the horse for the rider. The rider's coming in about 30 miles an hour, jumping off of one horse and jumping onto a next. And you never know what's going to happen, because there's lots of action coming in from all these riders coming in from all over. And you see the horse jumps, and the rider has to be light enough and quick enough to grab onto the horse and go around. So let me go ahead and show this video real quick. Can I share my screen? Okay, thank you. Where's the map? Sorry about this. I had it on here. Sorry about that, everybody. We do have a Fort Hall Indian Relay Association, which is really unique to Fort Hall and to any other relay tribe. And that's the unique thing. But here you go. I want to show this video. So you see that the our Indian relays and actually we get Crow teams coming in all the time to race and compete with us. Traditionally, this is a very competitive horse racing that involved a lot of tribes, and so that is a big portion, very popular event during our festival. Can we go to the next? I wanted to bring up how important it is to rely on your local media sources. And so for us, we're very fortunate that we have a newspaper called the Shoshone News. It runs every week. My office, when it comes to any events, but specifically for our festival, we really promote our events. And what's really awesome is that Shoban News creates its own festival magazine, which what that means is it's about 20 pages of a lot of the highlights of the festival. It'll promote and highlight artists that are at the art show, the relays, the elderly, the youth. And not only are we relying upon this festival magazine, but we'll also promote it, like Wendy mentioned. We'll go to the local Chamber of Commerce's. I actually am a member of the local Chamber of Commerce's and the Pocatello Rotary. We'll go out and we'll do a presentation. We'll bring our beautiful Miss Shoban, a drum group, and we'll go ahead and talk about and present our festival. So we're inviting our neighbors to Fort Hall. Next. So again, we do have a website. We keep everybody up to par on all of our festival events. Unfortunately, this year we have canceled our festival due to COVID. And that's just because of all these variants that are coming through. We definitely do not want to cause any further deaths in our community. So we will not have our festival this year, although we are going to have our Indian relay races, our rodeo, and our bull riding as part of kind of just keeping that tradition of having something, but they're outdoors, so they'll have a safety plan. So is there anything else you wanted to add, Wendy?
I just wanted to add in, I hope people will be able to come August 11th through the 14th, 2022. That's our next annual festival dates. Thank you, Randy. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randio and Wendy. That was wonderful. I've been lucky enough to enjoy your powwow and hope that I'll be able to come and visit again soon. It really is worth the travel. Next up, we have Stanley Pretty Paint. Stanley's a citizen of the Crow tribe of Indians and is the manager of the Crow Fair Powwow. He was raised on the Crow Reservation, and he began singing and dancing at 2 years old when his dad, Perry Pretty Point, started teaching him traditional Crow songs as well as peyote songs and the drum. Stan began entering native song and dance competitions at 4 years old. As a young man, Stan competed as a fancy dancer in powwows across the United States. He was elected by the Crow tribal members to run the Crow Fair Powwow. He also founded the Wolf Bow Legacy, LLC, an organization dedicated to powwows celebrating Native culture. Before we begin, Stanley, we'd like to do a poll to see how many people have been to Crow Fair. Wow, 75%. Oh, I'm sorry, it went backwards. 21%. So 80% haven't been. You're missing out on probably one of the biggest powwows in the country. And Stanley will tell us all about it. Stanley, it's up to you.
Good morning, everybody. I want to start off by saying that excuse me for speaking in front of my elders. I need to have permission to speak clearly and loudly, and I have to have permission to do that, although I'm a camp crier. I'm going to start off and try to paint the picture. When you come into the encampment, it's over 2,000 teepees. They've never had an accurate count. Some teepees go up and then sometimes they go down. And I want to try and paint. There's three entrances. When you come in, you have to remember where you park, because if you don't, you're going to get lost. A lot of people have to ask the security to get back to their car. So you got to mark here. You have so much fun. And the thing about our celebration is that we're we're welcome, Megan. We entertain, we invite visitors. And when that happens, we're based on feeding them. You can come to an encampment and get invited and eat, sit down and eat and visit. And there's a lot of things. When there's over 2,000 teepees, there's horses, there's kids on horseback, and it's really, you have to walk around. You can't just drive around in your car. It's so bottlenecking. But we try to control that, but it's hard because every year it's different. And when you come to our encampment, I'm going to talk about the teepee. The teepee is sacred to us. It's our home. It's our second mother. So our teepees are not painted, they're pure. And when you come into somebody's camp, they won't let you in until you ask permission. And when you ask permission, you're not to touch anything. And when some people will put up a teepee for like an extra room. So if you get invited, you get to sleep underneath the stars and enjoy what's there. And when you do that, you're considered as one of us when you're sleeping in our teepee. So this is the what, 121st annual. It's a harvest. When long time ago, when the harvest, we were plant, we grew stuff, and then you have your own string of horses, and when you put them together, and that festival is you get another guy with 4 horses, you get another guy with 4 horses, they compete. And they used to compete in a straight line. But then when the racetrack came, that's what it's called. When you say Crow Fair, we don't say Crow Fair. We say Crow Celebration. And we try not to call it powwow. Powwow's a gathering of just a group of people. Ours is a celebration. You celebrate your corn, you celebrate your beef jerky, you celebrate that. It's a big celebration, and you train your horses to be the fastest, and when they both race, that's what it started off to be. But when you do that, you bring your whole camp, and we live in our camps for about, I'm going to say, at least a week. And when you come to it, it's all respectful, and it's a delightful, enjoyable stay. When you do that, that means you had a good feeling leaving, taking some memories. So when that happens, that means it was a successful celebration. And when you want to talk about a little bit about dancing, just a little.
Get it next slide.
Go ahead. Next slide. We're horse culture, just like everybody else. We're horse culture, and if you don't have a horse, that means you're not part of the celebration. So every family has horses, and they're all different kinds. And when you come to Crow Fair, the first thing you're going to find out is at 10 o'clock, there'll be a big parade. There'll be a parade every day. And then the last day, it's called parade dance. That's our New Year's. And we call that our New Year's because we never had New Year's on the calendar back in the day. So when you dance that parade dance through the camps, that's our New Year's. That one is fun to watch. And it's all done ceremony. There's no English words in it or nothing. So if you come to it's on Monday, and if you happen to run into that, you will get stopped. You can't cross the path. When you get stopped, you need to ask and find somebody that can understand how to speak the language. We still speak our language. So it's all done in our language. It's not done in English. So you might get lost. If that happens, you need to find somebody that knows what's going on and you'll enjoy it. Otherwise, you're going to be left out. But that's just a few things that happen. The portion that we like as ourself is family. You get together and you eat every day. It's all about eating, and it's all about sitting down and enjoying each other's company. And next slide. When you parade, there's many ways. There's horseback, you can walk, and you have floats. And this is one of them. And you dance on a float, and there's a drum group. You can almost see the drum group. They sing on that float and they dance. And it's you wear your best. You wear to show the public that you did all the work and you're there. That means you're part of that cultural, you're part of that, what everybody does. And that means you're celebrating our new year. Next. These ladies are wearing, 3 of them are wearing the elk tooth dress. That means if you go up and shoot an elk and get ready for Crow Fair, there's only 2 teeth on that elk. And when you're a good hunter, you're a good man, your wife would wear elk tooth. Sometimes they go all the way down to the ankle, depending on if you're a good hunter or not. That's and the horses, your wealth is measured by your horses. So when you come, those things are so detailed, you won't even, unless somebody educates you on that, there's so much going on. You're going to enjoy the food, you're going to enjoy yourself, and then you start asking questions, then you start learning. It'll make you come back. It'll make you want to come back. You're going to enjoy that celebration, and you want to celebrate, and you put that on your calendar. It never changes. It's always on the 3rd weekend in August, and I think we used to have it the same time as Shoshone-Bannock, but I think they changed their dates, or we did, but we used to have it the same time as Fort Hall celebration. So when you come, you park your car and pack a lunch, because it's going to take all day to enjoy the whole place.
There's vendors.
There's vendors. There's an amusement park. We try to pack in everything, and we're running out of room. We're trying to figure out a way to compliment a company or whoever shows up. We want the whole crowd to come in and enjoy themselves. That's the main thing. We're not what they labeled us as the enemy. We are not. We enjoy the company. We invite the company. So everybody's invited to Crow Fair.
You can say next
Slide. Next slide. This is a picture of when you enjoy your relatives and you enjoy dancing. You dress them up. You dress your kids. You dress your brother up. You put that outfit on. That's still the same as it was way back in the day. We still dress the same way, and almost everything that they wear it means something, because it's a prayer when you dance. When you watch the dancing, they're saying a prayer. So that's what that is right there. You dress up your relatives and they say a prayer for the whole family. Next slide. So everybody's welcome. I thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Stanley. That was really interesting. I can't wait till I get a chance to come in and visit.
You're invited. Cordially, personally invited. If you can find me.
Among all those thousands of people, yes. Well, thank you so much. We have one more poll question, and it's going to be, will you be attending a powwow this year? Well, it looks like the yeses have it at 70%. For those of you that don't, I hope you can find time in your future to join a powwow. They are amazing. It's a wonderful feeling. It's like having a huge family, and you'll meet the same people at different powwows, and you always greet each other as family. So I want to thank all of our speakers today, talking about powwows and giving people ideas about how you can improve your own powwow. I think we forget sometimes that we are tourists as well. When I first started working in tourism, I was doing a presentation at one of the tribes, and one of the elders said, "I'm so glad you're here. We need to talk about where we're going to go next year." They had an elders group that traveled every summer, and it made me realize that we aren't just inviting people to our lands, but we're also inviting each other to each other's lands. And we are also tourists as well. So are there any questions?
Gail,
Okay, I have one. Yes.
this is Randiel. I just wanted to add that, Stanley mentioned, there's a powwow trail. And in August, the first weekend is Rocky Boy in Montana. The second week is Fort Hall. The third week is Crow. And so traditionally, that's kind of how a lot of the powwow dancers, they would kind of start the powwow trail for August. So this was really good to have both Shoban and Crow together to present. So thank you.
You're welcome. Stan, I have one question. Is Crow Festival taking place this year?
Yes, that's because of COVID and all the things we've been through. It takes a lot to prepare for that. Yes, it's still out there. Somebody is getting on Facebook saying that it's not going to happen, but it's already. We're trying to put it on Facebook and let everybody know that it's coming on, because they didn't have Rocky Boy this year. Randy, they canceled, and most of their families are coming over for Crow Fair, and we're trying not to overdo the media and everything. So we're out there, but we kind of keep it at a low profile because of Facebook page Crow Fair Powwow 2021. If you find that, you'll know it's on. So we're not trying to overdo it on the media and advertisements, because of the COVID and everything that happened. We're not quite sure if we want to enhance that, because our elders and our children come first. That's who we protect. So that's why we're trying to keep it low profile. But we're already planning. There's a $5,000 chicken dance special. And then there's for junior teens, there's another 5,000. So we don't really put that on the poster because we don't want to draw too much attention and put our loved ones in front of harm's way. So that's kind of why there's people out there gathering that and putting it on Facebook saying there's no crow fair, but it always happens. So thank you again.
I have a question for each of you. What advice do you give a non-tribal member who's coming to a powwow for the first time?
That's a good question, and thank you for asking that. We actually developed a do's and don'ts information page that we placed in the festival magazine. And one of the don'ts is if you're a non-tribal person, individual, do not take pictures up close of the dancers, the drum groups. Ask for permission before you do take a photo. Because a lot of times, a lot of dancers have seen their photos in calendars, you know, various different art shows where they're anonymously titled. So it's really important that, you know, if you're a non-tribal person going to any powwow, ask for permission before you take that photo. Because a lot of times the individual it does not want to be photographed. Also, just professionally, if we do work with professional photographers, we do have them sign a media release. So then that way we understand where they're coming from and where they're going to place their photos. So we do have a protocol that we follow, and we try to moderate it and monitor as best as we can. If they do sign up professionally, we do have an area marked in front of our festival stands where they can have the ability to take some really nice photos of the grand entry of dancers versus them kind of just being with the crowd because it gets really congested. So also don't touch feathers, no eagle feathers, do not touch their outfit, their regalia. It's not called a costume, it's called a regalia. So just those are just some tips.
Stanley, did you have anything to add?
Yes, she hit the nail on the head. It's hard to control the crowd when you're trying to dance and do the best you can. You can't really, I mean, you'll run into somebody, but you say, excuse me, and when they take your photo, I try to say, hey, if you're going to take a photo of me, I'll share my information with you. Send me a copy of it. So that means he's not going to sell it. He's not going to. So we do have tried to do that, but it's pretty hard because it's a big crowd.
Wendy, I know that your arbor has a very special covering. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Thank you. Yes, our arbor, we developed it in 2009. It was rebuilt. Its structure is about 200 feet at diameter, large, and we have a mesh covering on it. It's a special material. It allows maybe 40% sunlight to get, or 60% sunlight to get through. So it's got that slight shade. So in the video clip that Randy L shared earlier, you could kind of see the shading on the arbor area. It's very unique in Indian country. We get lots of questions about our dance arbor and about the shading. It's really popular because we are a large outdoor powwow. You ask our public works, you know, bless their hearts, they have to put it up every year. It's not something, I mean, it takes time to put the shading up annually. So bless their hearts, they do it annually every year, and they do a really good job on getting it up, and we really appreciate that. But it is a mesh shading.
Thank you. We've had a question about what are the dates for the Crow Fair?
It starts on the 20th for the competition, but we started before that so we can move in, and Thursday night we have a mini powwow. The dates are 20th, 21st, and 22nd August.
So Randiel, do you have any closing remarks?
I would just like to say that, if anyone has any further questions, I know that we tried to hit a lot of topics that we could. There's a lot that goes into, having a successful powwow, a festival, a fair. I know that I visit Crow Fair. I like to see your guys' parades. There's lots of differences when you do go to different tribal powwows. And I think it's good just to be respectful of that tribe's culture, language, and just try to embrace it, enjoy that moment instead of trying to ask a lot of questions. I think that's probably the biggest thing is, just like what Stanley was saying, a lot of our Indian people, we like to visit, sitting down and having coffee at the food vendors early in the morning, just sharing stories and visiting friends. We do miss powwows. Can't wait for 2022. And but again, just thank you for providing this webinar. I think it was very much needed. So thank you.
Thank you. Wendy, would you like to say a little bit more about your events and closing?
Sure. We would hope that people would be coming out for our annual Shoshone-Bannock Festival. Again, it's August 11th through the 14th, 2022. I believe we provide a lot of really unique things in our powwow. In our annual celebration, there's something for everyone. We have so many different variety of events. It draws in various different crowds throughout Indian country, and we do welcome visitors around the globe as well as locally to go into the powwow grounds itself. It is free. There is a fee to go to the relay races though, but it's minimal. But everything comes to the Shoshone-Bannock tribes, and we just really want to we send out appreciation for people's support that do come to our annual celebration. And we really appreciate all the dancers that come every year. They also help make our event successful. Thank you.
Stanley, would you like to do a closing and maybe even talk a little bit about what a powwow means to you? You've been a dancer since you were a tiny thing, so would you mind closing?
Sure. I became a fancy dance or grass dancer, and when I became 17, I turned to fancy dance. But my tribe has this unique dance. They call it crow style, crow belt. I didn't really dance that, but it started to grow. I can't remember what the year was. It started off in Rocky Boy, and they call it crow belt. So now everybody has crow style now, sometimes in their own fair or their powwow. And when I started dancing, it wasn't really about competition. It was just about getting out there. And my dad sang, my mom danced, everybody in my family danced. So we would jump in the truck with a camper. We would all go enjoy their festival. We were visitors, and we all danced. So we all grew up dancing and being part of what everybody enjoys. Then it turned into competition. So I started dancing in competition to win money, and money came involved. It kind of changed the whole ordeal. Now they call it powwow, but it's all about money now. So the more money you won, the more you're gonna Nobody keeps score. So I might be a champion fancy dancer, I say, but everybody's a champion because everybody's won at some powwow, and sometimes they lose, sometimes you win. But if you keep dancing that, you become that champion dancer, and it grows on you, and it enhances you to dance even more and more and more. And it's fancy dance is almost acrobatic thing. So you have to stay in shape, and then you have to have the right outfit, be at the right place at the right time, and you just did the powwow. And you sometimes you sing. I mean, I love to sing.
Well, thank you so much, Stanley, Wendy, and Randy L. This has been a wonderful webinar. We've had lots of praise in the chat and the questions and answers. We will be posting this webinar on the IANTA website, and we'll send a link to everyone who has registered for the webinar. We ask you to please follow us on ianta.org for future webinars. And if you're not a member of IANTA or not listed on nativeamerica.travel, we would really like you to be. You can contact me. We also want to thank the National Park Service, Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail for their support of these webinars. We've been working with the National Park Service to promote events like this and other attractions along the trail on our nativeamerica.travel and lewisandclark.travel websites. If you have a business along the trail that serves visitors, please contact us. We'd love to add you as a listing. You can reach me at GCHEHAK@ianta.org. All of everyone's contact information is on this final slide. And we invite you to come back to our next webinar. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.